Here's a quick look at the Android 16 update to the Titan 2. Security patch is now December 5th, 2025. First improvement I want to mention is the expansion of the hardware keys customizations. You can now customize the Shift, Back, Recents, and Alt keys. For example, you can make this Shift key perform any other function on this list and do this for all these keys here in the front and sides. And not only assign it as a single function reassignment, but also expand it into multi-function shortcut settings for single, double, and long presses. For example, I like to have the standard order of back, home, and recents. So I'm going to assign these keys in that order. Back is back already. But I'm going to have this square key as the home because I like that in the middle. And then FN key, I'm going to assign that as the recents key because that's how it is in standard Android. Now these keys work as I like them to. Back, recents, and home. To make it even more customized, I like to have this back key function as a camera key. So now I can assign this as a back key for a single press, and as a long press, I can have it activate the camera app. And also for the recents apps key, I like to have it perform a screenshot for a long press. For short press, I set it to recents, of course. And for long press, assigned as screenshot. This kind of customization is great for me, and I no longer need to install the Buttons Remapper app to do these things, which is what I did before. I think this is a great move by Unihertz, and it adds a lot of functionality. Next up is the user interface. Before, when we don't want to have these three buttons on screen, we have to limit ourselves to the gestures navigation. And as I mentioned in my review, some of these gestures interfere with regular app usage, such as turning the page in the Kindle or changing screens in other apps. Now you have the ability, using gestures navigation, to disable the back gesture. And not only that, you have the ability to disable the up gesture. So now that I have my buttons mapped as back, home, and recent, I don't need the gestures anymore because, like I said, it usually interferes with app usage. So I disabled both up and back. So it's funny because I have to activate gestures navigation just to disable both gestures so that I can use the buttons instead. But it's great that Unihertz did this, even though it's kind of a weird way to do it. There's also mouse scroll mode. And this one needs the scroll assistant active, and you need to select it per app. There's two modes, which basically picks which side you want as a mouse movement and the other side as a click and drag movement. I tried this with AliExpress for browsing and it seems to work pretty smoothly. I'm not sure if I have a use for this, as I generally don't activate the keyboard scroll anyway, but a lot of people like this feature and it's cool to show it off to others. And as for the subscreen, Unihertz now lets you fully disable it, which is what I do, because it's pretty much useless. It says it's improved, but I'm not going to bother. Other minor things that I have noticed is that the IME caption bar no longer has the keyboard switcher on the corner. It is now a globe and it cycles through all the installed keyboards. You'll have to long hold it to bring up a keyboards list if you want to switch directly to your keyboard. I prefer the old method, but I'll have to work with what I have. And if you use past the era, the swipe back to delete no longer works. It relied on the swipe to activate the physical keyboard's backlight gesture, and that's still here, but now it no longer works for the swipe to delete for this keyboard. Hopefully an update can fix this. Also, the positioning of the virtual keyboard for past the era is a little bit off. With Android 16, it now overlaps a bit with the IME caption bar. I suppose if you disable the IME caption bar, it'll be fine. For the other software keyboard that I use, the keyboard designer, there's no longer a gap underneath it as before. There used to be a gap underneath the virtual keyboard on the screen, and it was very noticeable on light backgrounds. It's now gone, which is great if you use this keyboard. That's the major things I've noticed so far. It's working pretty smoothly, and I really like the customizations Unihertz has implemented, especially with the buttons and the gestures. If I notice anything new, I'll post another update.